Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Michael Kell joining us here today. And for some odd reason in my mind now, I just want to call today's episode Romancing the Stone. Do you remember that? Do you remember Romancing the Stone? Yeah. Do you remember that film?
Yeah.
That's what you came to mind just a second ago. We started talking before we started the podcast. I know we're talking a little romance today, and that's what just came in my head. I don't even remember the movie, but Michael Kell joins us here again, live on the podcast and Zoomcast. Say hello to your listeners today.
Hello, everyone. You see if I improved my lighting immensely.
Yes, it looks great.
And I hate smudges, so I had to de-smudge my desk. So now I feel better.
Good.
But I want to talk about the lack of romance in the world today. And I think that a lot of people misunderstand romance and how it should be working, because there's an art to it, not a science. Well, if you're really good at the art, then you know the science, but mainly an art. And, I was talking to a friend of mine that I've known for a long time in Ukraine, who's we call a low mileage, beautiful woman. Heard that term? It's a California term, low mileage.
What is it?
I said, well, okay. When I was in high school in California, not that we did anything in high school, but and even in college, is that a woman who was rather pure, either virgin or not too many boyfriends. We used to call it low mileage.
Like a car. Yeah.
And the reason why is because the average penis is 6 inches, so it goes in once and goes out, so it's a stroke mile.
Less
so
miles.
Low mileage.
Yes.
So it was actually a compliment, not
Yes. No, I get it, but oh my God! But how come for men their ego boosted on having high mileage? That doesn't make sense. That a woman gets looked down upon for having high mileage, a man gets praise for it. That's just it's always pissed me off.
It is weird. But I think a lot of times there's some deep evolutionary, reasons why people do what they do. And it may have been, I think, like in animals and chimpanzees and stuff. You got to have a female to have sex with because they're not homosexual.
Yeah.
And but I think in a lot of cultures, just because they're patriarchal, is that men are allowed to have more women, okay? But it's a thing for good making, like for a king, it's good to have more wives because you want to have a son.
Yeah,
right.
True.
You want to have the right son. But but it has consequences because I'm convinced that the great majority of men, and women don't have to tell me more than I can know because I'm just saying it from the opposite side.
Okay.
Watching what they say, if they have no appreciation for the subtleness and the true joy in romancing a lady. And some people don't romance too many. Some people romance a lot. And the number doesn't matter here. If it's, not like every night, okay, different person.
Yeah.
And, and so I think I want to talk about it because what most men don't realize, in fact, I only met probably 2 or 3 people, actually both of them pastors, that actually appreciated not all things about romance, but the fact of how great a gift it is to be given a wife. It's a little patriarchal too, but it's just how it is.
Yeah.
And a wife, and that, when a woman really wants to make some love to somebody, okay. I was telling a friend of mine this, later, I said, even a harlot becomes a virgin again when she finds somebody that she can truly love because she knows that he truly cares about her.
Yeah.
And so giving your body as a harlot is not the same as giving your body as a lover or a wife. In fact, in the Western days, there's a lot of women had to be harlots because they didn't have anything else to do if they weren't married. But they actually made really good wives historically. Because once they were married, they could do what they were good at and not have to worry about anything. But so I was thinking that it's just that it's sad that men don't appreciate it, the gift.
Yeah.
A woman making love with you by choice.
Yeah.
Not by necessity or anything, just by choice. And and so I was thinking back on my life, which I do a lot, and stuff, and about how I learned to be sort of romantic.
Yeah. How? Yeah. How did you learn? Was it from, being over there with the nuns? Did they teach you that?
The nuns didn't teach me that, okay. But being, I was 3 to 5 years old. I was a very smart little kid, okay, because I've been around a long time, okay, I think. And but since Anna Marie had really bad upbringing, nobody abused her. But when she was born, her mother died, and so her father blamed her for it. and banished her to live with some people that they weren't unkind. They just had no feelings. And so she grew up all by herself, imaginary friends. His dad was at a big library and stuff, so she could read and teach herself and stuff. And the only time she could do anything with anybody else was when she went to church on Sunday with the nuns, because in Puerto Rico, so they had to go to church. And so when father died, the nuns took her because she really wasn't able to be on her own. Because she didn't have much good social skills. And they helped her. So I learned about this, as a 3-year-old, what happened to her life and stuff. And so for some reason, I knew what to do. She needed to be touched a lot. I'm not saying sexual, touched a lot. She needed to be appreciated. She needed to do things that would make her feel that she was a worthy woman. And so I paid a lot of attention and watched what she needed. And I just knew what to do. But those things that I learned then, or at least reawakened, served me later on in life. And what people don't realize is that, maybe it's always been this way, but when you meet a woman, why would you jump in bed with her right away? That is such a waste of feelings, no matter how much she likes you, okay? Yeah. Because people nowadays think they want to jump into bed. That's what it counts, but it's not. If you're lucky enough to have gone to a movie, theater in the old days, I don't know if people go very often anymore. It's like an 8th grader, maybe a 9th grader, and be able to sit there and hold a girl's hand for the very first time. It's a very, very nice feeling for both, right? Because you feel accepted, you feel needed, you feel wanted, but you're not thinking of sex, okay? You're just holding hands. And you can get such a great pleasure with bonding with a woman, just holding her hand, and most people don't understand this, and the key to romance, and the true key is seduction, if it's done for higher purposes, is gradually approaching the end goal, which may not even be the end goal a lot of times, okay? Sex is not always the end goal of romance. Romance, I think, is about a man helping a woman the best she can be, and in doing that, she reinforces him. Mm-hmm. So it's a very loving thing, in the truest sense of that word. And it's like, why would you want to jump in bed until you've had a lot of first kisses? Mm-hmm. Right? Because it's an amazing thing when you kiss I call them, like a woman kisses like a schoolgirl. Mm-hmm. Later on, it's just the anticipation, the newness, the feelings they get. Of course, I get too. Your knees get weak. Your knees get weak, but they can't fall over. Only the woman can. And and not to appreciate that. Mm-hmm. Or seeing them and just giving them a gift. Actually, psychiatrists call this. I shouldn't say this, but it's called tossing bones to the dogs.
Yeah.
You heard the expression?
Yeah, I have. My father used to say. I don't even know what it means, to be honest. My father used to use that.
That's funny, because actually, a psychologist friend told me about it one time when I was talking. It's a really good friend of mine.
I'm waiting. I got to hear. Okay, go ahead.
It's about throwing bones to the dogs, and I go, I hadn't heard it before either. And he goes, Michael, you ever think about throwing bones to the dogs? And I go, I know there's something deeper here, but what is it? Okay.
Yeah.
And what it is that because women gathered evolutionarily, men went out and hunted. And sometimes women probably hunted, but women basically gathered stuff. And you got a lot of the food that was non-large meat, like small amphibians to eat, probably larvae. They didn't have the vegetables, they had tubers, fruits and things. And so women are used to gathering stuff, right? And so they bring it back to where everybody's eating. It's like a gift. Mm-hmm. Okay. And, and people appreciate it. Right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And so what he meant to say was, even though it's kind of a crude way to say it is that, you need to remember that women need to be given gifts, little gifts, show appreciation, because they grew up, and that whole evolutionary thing with that, and so a lot of people don't realize that. So when you bring flowers home, it's a really big deal. If they like chocolate, you bring chocolate home, not so much to get them chubby, but just, rare things, it means a big deal. And it can't be regular. It has to be somewhat random. And when you do this with a woman that you care about, in fact, the woman even don't care about, you just want to be friendly, show she's valuable. It opens up their aura to you. It opens up their hearts to you, not in a sexual way, but they feel safe then with you. And the key to romance is making a woman feel safe, I think. Now, if I'm wrong, you can correct me. It's okay. I always like to be corrected because then I learn how to have something new.
No, definitely.
But it's about feeling safe.
Yeah.
And I think that's the biggest thing, because men used to protect the women in the olden days too. They probably didn't abuse them as much in those days either, I imagine, because they needed each other. And so, so if you look back at just evolution, that's something, I mean, I knew about that, but I didn't know what it was called. And, and so when you learn these things, you learn about seduction. Okay. And people think seduction means you go out and trick a woman into having sex, or tell her things about having sex. Okay. No, seduction for me is about allowing a woman to be as much of a woman as she wants to be. Okay. To display the wonder of femininity. You can be a tomboy. That's the sort of detail. But, women are really important. And they, and it's important. It needs to be recognized in our society.
Yeah.
Not by antagonizing males. Feminists and I don't get along together whatsoever. I believe in women's rights. I believe everything should be fair, and everybody should help each other the best way they are. And men are biologically different than women. That's just how it is. And it's a good reason why in general. But if somebody wants to do something else, fine. It's not my problem. And, and so like I went to school at MIT for a while. And when I was up there, I'm very polite. My mom told me to be polite. And others told me to do. So up there, like, if you open the door for a woman, like walking into a store, they frown at you. There's a lot of feminists up there, okay? But they're not really pro-feminine. They're feminists. It's a difference, and they want to be aggressive. They don't want you to be nice to them because it's like demeaning to them. So I think it's a pretty weird personality you must have, okay? And I smile at them and say, I do this for men too, which is true. So what's your problem with stuff, And they and I never get along. And it's not because I'm mean or nasty. It's because I don't like them being mean and nasty.
Yeah.
And women tend to be more bisexual than men, which is a fact, proven. And that's fine, okay? But, to impress homosexuality on anyone is wrong, I think, in general, okay? If they want to do it in the nicety, I don't care. But you can't force those things, and in those days, the heydays of feminism, the women wanted to be in the men's club. They said, you can't be in the men's club. You don't have a penis, period. End of story. Doesn't matter how smart you are. They can respect you and listen to you, but you can't be in the same club because we can't be in your club. That's just how it is. It's never going to change, because if it changes, something's really messed up.
Yeah.
It's for a reason. And, so it sort of saddens me just to watch that how men and women can't help each other better.
Mm-hmm.
And men really should be kindly to women and should be working for their benefit and to nourish them. It's because I said before, your two boys wouldn't be with you unless you had them. Mm-hmm. Same with my mom.
Yeah.
And to realize that, who did God give the honor of? He gave it to females to be the bearer of creation, not males. Males have their part, but they have to protect it. And so it's terrible. I just meet someone that way, but when I just talk to, it's because I like them and they're nice and helpful. Don't ask for much, if anything.
True.
And just to see like how unappreciated they are, and it's not just in the United States, in Europe. I can't say much about the Orient because I lived there, but I don't remember much about that back there. And so the world's not going to go do better until that's one thing that needs to be corrected, I think. So it's just like, I was talking to somebody like one day, and I was going. She said, "What do you like?" I said, I would really enjoy laying down next to you and spend the night." So you can't even go nightgown on. I don't care. Mm-hmm. And she goes, "Why would you want to do that for?" I said, I know you like me, so not you, maybe them. And I said, well, because there's a certain pleasure there. When you're just laying there, not expecting to have sex, just enjoying being with each other. Mm-hmm. No requirements, no obligations. And plus, when you do that, you can get a better feeling whether that woman should be a woman you should follow or not. I mean, if you're looking for a mate, okay.
Mm-hmm.
And it's all those simple things that like people look at me like I'm crazy when I say that's a really pleasurable thing. That's a really pleasurable thing.
Yeah.
You know, and when you're nice to women all the time, women like you. They just
Mm-hmm.
feel that you're a nice person. You don't have to be handsome, don't have to be a genius,
Mm-hmm.
but you feed them. And everybody's supposed to should be feeding each other the proper nourishment. And that's why sometimes people don't, like they talk to me and say, I don't want one time, well, not a lot of times, I'd love to have you nurse me when I fall asleep. They look at me kind of funny. And I go, why would that be funny? Women are mothers, and some of the mother things they do is appropriate in a marriage
Mm-hmm.
because you want those feelings to come up. You want to feed her, let her feed her, let her feed
Yeah.
you, feed your feelings. Doesn't have to be any milk involved.
Yeah.
It's just being open and being giving. So, got a question?
No, no, I get it. You're right. So, but a woman is very motherly, very nurturing, very, yeah, that's not all, to be honest, not
Yeah,
all, but usually they are, which could be a good thing for most men. But yeah, that's more of an old school thing. It's nowadays everyone's busy working, no one's sleeping in the same bed. It's like crazy, but yeah, that's more traditional, but it totally makes sense, right? But I don't know any couple that's like has time for that anymore.
it's sad.
It's yeah,
We're killing our species
I
slowly.
know, I know, I know.
I don't know if it's going to be saved. As I said, I don't know if they can save it or not, but
Yeah,
you can try and stuff.
we're good.
Oh, sorry.
No, no, we got 10 minutes. Yeah, we're
Oh,
good.
wow.
Um, Romancing the Stone, today's episode. By the way, we didn't establish, because we just always get into conversation. How do we reach you? Tell us your website, how we can find you.
Well, okay. The website to go to is called it's enlightenment123.org. Now, if you go on Facebook and put in Teaching Tales Publishing or Michel Polyakov books, we're there too. Now, whether I come in and answer is another question, but I am there. I'm not much for social networking things. And if you want to email me, I'm pretty good at answering emails,
Mm-hmm.
especially from females. But it's that the easiest place to go is to support at the Grail exercises, like the Holy Grail
Mm-hmm.
.com or .org. I can't remember which one it is. If .org doesn't work, try .com. I'll find out later today when I talk to GoDaddy.
And you're on YouTube as well.
Not yet.
Oh, I thought you have a YouTube link on your website.
Actually, I've been on a few. I mean, there's some videos on this website.
Oh, okay.
But I need to go on YouTube just to make 1 minute videos every day.
Mm-hmm.
That's my next project. I got to rebrand myself, and I got to make a good lead magnet that'll attract everybody to what I
And be
want.
out there and I know it's all about, yeah, it's always about getting out there, social. And I haven't posted on social media like a week and a half. It feels so good. I've been off of it. Like I'll share memories, but I don't have time. I'm so exhausted. Like, but it's part of it. I get it. I get it. To keep current, yeah, that's what yeah. Our society has changed, right? And then, I don't know if you're around any young children or teenagers. I am because of the family and the friends. And it's just like everyone's just connected to that phone and to their iPads and it's just a different world. It's just different. And I'm just so scared how that's going to affect our children. But this seems to be the way it's been for like 20 years now. And they're all on this internet thing all the time, being out there so
True.
much. Who?
True.
Yeah. Oh, it's who? Yeah.
True. No, I
Yeah.
agree.
Yeah.
I can't see how it's good in the long run for humanity.
I mean, my little
I know
guy's
something.
learning stuff.
I got to share something, but
On
I got to
TikTok.
find it.
Sure.
Okay.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I
Go
got to
ahead. Go
find it.
ahead.
Give me a second. I got to find it. I meant to have this out, but I forgot. Let me wait a minute. We'll find it today. Oh, well, I guess I'll have to tell you next week.
Oh, you can't find it?
No, it's a no, it's a get my books because I have a book about Jesus.
Yeah.
Oh, you love it. You'd love Jesus in my book. It's
Oh.
4 wives. He's taken over the Roman Empire. You know, he's assertive, but in a nice way.
Okay.
And he can remove sin, and he'll get crucified only because it was good for his plan of fixing the world.
Mm-hmm.
Which reminds me, another thing is that, it's that, like, Hinduism, you have with in the stories, God finally comes down, whether it's Vishnu or Krishna or Shiva, always comes down to save humanity. So the story by Jesus is a parallel to these. It's different, okay? Maybe it's a little more advanced, but it's a parallel to God coming down to save people. And so I think we need God's direct intervention. And when it's female, God is what God is. We shouldn't care what it is beyond us, but we really need an intervention. And I think that in history, some of these stories are true about what happened there. God has intervened before when it becomes critical to save his experiment or her experiment or her experiment or his experiment. And so what I want to share was a little blessing that Jesus gave in my book, it's the Chronicle, the Gospel of Lord Yeshua, which I think Christian Orthodox churches won't like at all. They are wrong anyway in everything they believe. There's no Trinity. There's no 3 persons. God is just one God. There's one God. I mean, if there's a God, they had to come down. If Jesus is the Son of God, that doesn't mean that Jesus is God. It's not 3 persons. It's God came down like in Hinduism and manifested. But it's a blessing. It's a really nice blessing, and I don't want to blow it by trying to remember it because I don't remember a lot of stuff. And but it's a really, really nice blessing to say at meals, just to remind you that other people are out there. And it's based on what Jesus supposed to said is that when you help the least, you're helping me. Okay. By the way, the Catholics are closer to how things actually are than Protestants are, because they still believe in faith and good works.
I didn't know that.
Faith, no matter who you are, embraced by God. Okay. So I wanted to share it with you because the other day I was thinking, I came across it, I was editing, and what it says in the end, it says, who are we if not them? Talking about bad, so people in bad shape.
Yeah.
And I was just feeling like going that that no matter what I've done in my life, I've never succeeded actually in what I would like to do, because the only thing I ever wanted to do as a little kid, I mean, in the end it's kind of like when Castaneda, it's before Castaneda, but he talked about that people are an energy envelope. I don't know if you read Castaneda, energy envelope. No. And they have an assemblage point, which is where their attention is. And when you have to get everything organized in it so it works properly, but then you get it, illuminated. And what I always wanted, was sad I couldn't see, is when I met somebody, the first thing I wanted to see in them, no matter how small it was what was truly good, beneficent, altruistic, loving, kind, and then see the rest of them.
Yeah.
Because if you saw what was good in them first, I mean, you still may have to kill them if they're really bad, okay? But at least you would do it without malice, and see if there's something there, maybe could be saved, maybe not. And so I was just thinking about that, and I'm thinking, this really makes me sad, because I haven't learned how to do that very well yet. Even though I'm kind in my actions, I have goodwill and good at works, I haven't succeeded, and be able to love, and radiate love without any restrictions or limitations.
Okay.
Which is probably the real reason I romance.
And that leads us to a conclusion. Back to romance, romancing the stone with Michael Kell. If you're just tuning in, yes, that's what we've been talking a little bit about romance today. And I don't know how the time goes so quickly. It's already almost 6 minutes. Wow. Wow. Okay, how do we end this episode on romance? Michael Kell, what do you want to say?
I saw another person the other day, they're talking about love between a man and a woman. I talk about that a lot. And I said, if because we think we fall in love. We think we do this, we do that. It's like it's coming from us, right?
Mm-hmm.
And no good comes from a human being, evolutionarily.
Yeah.
I mean, good has to, whether people want to admit it or not, good has to come from something higher than us. And love and wisdom, are energies in this universe, and they don't have to be a person. They just are, and when you live realizing that we are vehicles to express the love of whatever is the most divine and most sacred that you can think of, and our job is to find out how to express it better and more fuller and less discriminatorily and kinder, then you make progress, I think, in life.
Got it. Well, thank you.
And it's okay to be sad when you fail, because you didn't really fail. You just haven't made it yet, and you keep working on it because you feel bad.
Good outlook.
So I hope you have a nice week. And I talk to you next week, and maybe we'll do books next week. I don't know.
Yay. All right. Yeah, I got my son's big birthday, turning 6 on Friday. So yeah,
wow,
fun week.
That's a big day.
Anything we should leave with? Do you want to share your website one more time again, or phone number?
Ooh, I don't think give me a call. That might be too much.
I'm sorry.
Not that one like that, because I get too many calls and stuff.
So just the enlightenment.org.
Enlightenment123.org is the website.
All right.
And that website is interesting. It's going to be improved. It's not improved in what it says, but it's going to have more stuff.
All right.
So I have some projects coming up.
That's funny. Coming up. Boot camp. All right. We'll talk about that too then next week. You have a fantastic day. Thank you again. And all of our listeners, stay tuned, and God bless you as well.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house. And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned. This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.